5 signs that your ex is afraid to come back. I see almost on a daily basis cases where people on each side of the relationship are scared. They want to get back together, but are scared of their partner's reaction. Maybe you're in that case, and maybe your ex is in that case. And if this relationship is important to you, well, I'm here to help you and support you in making the right decision. So in this video, I'm going to share with you 5 clear signs that your ex is afraid to come back. Because if you want to get back together, well, maybe you have to nudge them, maybe you have to investigate rather than thinking, I've heard somewhere online that I need to go no contact forever and he or she will come back. Unfortunately, that's not how it works. The first sign is they stay in touch, but they keep things at surface level. So basically, they would answer your text, maybe you see each other for a coffee, but they would avoid at all costs deep emotional conversations. They'll be very scared to discussing about the past, for instance. The thing is, everything that would be linked to feelings, emotions would be put on the side. They want you in a way, but they don't want the commitment. Somehow they are scared of being vulnerable. And the reason they are scared is because either they don't think that they can make you happy, they don't know what they want, and because they don't know what they want, they don't want you to suffer, or they're avoiding commitment. They have a deep fear of commitment. The point here is to really assess how you can progress the relationship a little bit further. I see sometimes people staying in those situationships, friendship sort of relation with their ex, assuming that if I stick long enough, if I message them once a day, at some stage, they'll give in and we'll get back together. Unfortunately, that's not how it works. Because the problem is, he or she might be actually satisfied with this type of relationship that doesn't require commitment, that doesn't require emotional investment, that doesn't require any form of investment. And right now, perhaps you want something else. You want someone who invests in the relationship the same way you would invest in this relationship. If you're not sure about what type of relationship you're in, I put together a quiz to assess if you have any chance of getting back with your ex. That will also help you in understanding all the signs that I described in this video. Second sign, they give mixed signals. This on and off type of dynamic, this push-pull dynamic, the hot and cold. One day they'll be super keen, they'll reply right away to your message. They'll see you, or they ghost you. And you don't know what you think. Maybe you're thinking, oh, this time they're dating someone. This time they moved on already. But a week ago, you had a great time together. And it's extremely hard for you to manage this phase, this on and off, this roller coaster that I describe, typical of actually the anxious avoidant dynamic, especially after a breakup. If your partner is avoidant, if your ex is avoidant, they will have a deep fear of intimacy, but also a deep fear of loneliness. Remember that we have a deep need to be attached to a primary attachment figure. Avoidant, like myself, we block this need. We feel like, that's bad. Because if I'm too close to this person, I become vulnerable. And vulnerability equals weakness, right? And so because they're not sure, they will always alternate between like, I want to see you, it's too scary. I want to see you, it's too scary. And so the whole point of this dynamic, how you can break the cycle, is to really create a secure base with this person by working on your attachment, because it's the only thing you can control, being more secure and being a role model in this relationship. By doing that, you're creating the right conditions, the right dynamic for them to feel safe in the sense of, I can also be independent as part of this relationship. So maybe in the past you didn't know your partner was an avoidant attachment style, for example, and you can sort of change a little bit. It's not about changing who you are, but change a little bit the dynamic of the relationship this way. And working, if you have an anxious attachment style, at being more secure. The effect would be that you'll be more fulfilled in the relationship, you'll be more in control, and you will maximize the chances of you working out together. So it's very important. And again, have a look at the quiz. I'll give you some, depending on the results, some tips and guides and sort of tips and recommendations on your situation based on your answer. I also wrote a book on this called The Secure Base that you can grab on Amazon if you want to learn how to create that secure base. Third sign that they're interested but they're scared is that they would stalk you on social media. You would see them looking at your stories, liking some of your posts. The thing is, it's the lowest form of investment or commitment to watch someone's story on Instagram. That's not commitment, but that's a sign that, okay, it's very hard for me to let go. It's very hard for me to get rid of you as a person in my life. So I'd be curious. I always have a hard time when I'm at home, and I want to be reminded of what we had. Also, a lot of pocket dial. I see that. People calling you by mistake. The thing is, it's not because they don't talk to you. It's not because they don't interact that they don't care. Especially if they are avoidant, they are very good at masking things, at keeping things to themselves. When I have a problem, my default way of dealing with this problem would be to keep it to myself. And I wouldn't call my best friends, I wouldn't call people to discuss about my problems. I would keep it myself. And so after a breakup, avoidants usually stay at home on their own, processing the breakup. And so from the outside world, you might be thinking, moved on, or they're dating someone, they're not interested. It's more complex than that. In some cases, they're just processing the breakup, but would never sort of externalize those thoughts, those emotions to the world because, again, being sad, being upset, being angry is a sign of weakness. And I don't want to be weak. I don't want to be weak. I don't want to show to the world that I can suffer, right? Because I'm very private as a person. So that's why sometimes they will find indirect ways to communicate. On those ones, that's very important. Don't over-interpret those signs. Again, that's the lowest form of commitment and investment. If your ex is watching your stories, that doesn't mean he or she wants to get back with you. It means that they're interested in your life, but that's not always enough. Let's say they're interested in getting back with you. That doesn't mean that you should get back with them. Because again, as I said on the side number 1, what you need is a relationship where your partner at least equally invests in the relationship. If you're left in a relationship where you have to second guess everything that they do, everything that they say, that's not the right relationship for you. And you should walk away. I'm not saying you should never get back with your ex. My point is, if this relationship mattered, if you had something special with this person, you have to fight to get this relationship back. But fight on the right terms. Fight for the right relationship. And my job, when I work with my clients on one-to-one, I'm not making up the decision to get back with them. I'm making sure that we create the right dynamic. And then we can assess whether this person will basically meet our needs. Will basically respect our boundaries. Sometimes that works out. Most of the time it works out because when you're in love with someone, you want to overcome your fear because, as I said, if you're an avoidant person, you're scared of commitment, but you're also scared of being lonely. There's also a fear of abandonment for avoidant. And so when you teach them, because it's kind of a way of teaching them, being the role model, when you teach them how a relationship could help them or feel safer than it used to be, then they will start being like, okay, I can do better. I can actually make you happy. And it doesn't have to be something that I can't give. It's most about the dynamic, most about understanding your world, understanding my world, and speaking the same language. That's what I do with my clients. And sometimes you do what it takes, you do your best, and you realize, I don't want this relationship. I simply don't want to be with this person anymore. And if you have a look on my website, you have plenty of case studies of people work with them for a few months, and some of them told me, like, that's the best thing that happened to me. because I finally realized that's not what I want. And now I'm the one breaking up with them. Because usually in this process, they get back together and they're the one like really assessing, is it the right relationship? Shifting from a place of like, I want this person back to, okay, I want myself back. I want the right relationship. And maybe I will cast this partner who happens to be my ex. That's the best way to deal with things. And that's the best way because you're in control of the process. Now, sign number 4, they mention the breakup but avoid solutions. So again, they keep things to themselves. I have this problem. I want you back. I'm scared of losing this relationship. But they say, I wasn't ready. You're too good for me. You deserve better. And there's no follow-up of like, okay, you deserve better, but then what can I do to up my game to meet your needs? Sometimes they might feel guilty, but they are confused. But that doesn't make them to take action. They fear, that happened to me in the past, repeating the same mistakes. I made you suffer the same way I made other of my partners suffer because I don't know what I want, because I'm scared of commitment. And so this is a case of this person needs to do a bit of work on themselves because they have insecurity in the fact that they can make you happy. So they will be always finding ways to break up. So that's called deactivation in attachment theory. Avoidance, they constantly do that, especially before a breakup. They will only focus on the negative aspects of the relationship, of the partner. They will focus on their flaws and shortcomings and obsessed about those things. And surprisingly enough, anxious people will focus on the positive signs. And so as a therapist, it's quite interesting because when I work with avoidance, I have to list out all the qualities of their ex. And when I work with anxious people, I need to list out all their shortcomings. Because it's always like a question of avoidant have higher self-esteem, so high self-esteem and low esteem of others. And that's the opposite for anxious people. So it's important if you have an anxious attachment style to, again, rebalance things out. You might hear from other coaches, you need to knock your partner, your ex from that pedestal. So again, that's a sign that they're interested, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're the right partners, that again, they're fighting for you. Being an avoidant is not an excuse. I used to be avoidant. I'm almost every day working on being more secure. But the point is, it's not a limitation. The same way, if you have an anxious attachment style, that's not a limitation of who you are. It shouldn't define who you are as a partner. Maybe that's the starting point. And you're on a journey to be more secure and understanding more about your insecurities, how you can communicate better your needs, and so on and so forth. But remember that, again, you want to be with someone who's solution-oriented, not always giving you problems. And maybe you are also the kind of person in relationships who are always focusing on the negative elements, bringing up problems rather than solutions. So again, it's a challenge should you want to assess your relationship and figure out what you want for going forward. And the last one is that they wait for you to make the first move because it's easier, because it's less risky. It's not because someone broke up with you that they are not scared of being rejected. Sometimes we feel like, oh, he or she broke up with me. And I have this deep fear of rejection because I got rejected in the first place. And I don't want this to happen twice to me. But for the dumpers, it's also the same. If they feel like I made a mistake, if they feel like, oh, oops, I was completely wrong. Imagine them. It requires you to be quite strong and sure about yourself, reaching out again. Because you know you didn't do something right with this person. You know he or she suffered because of that decision. So there's always, in a lot of cases, people always, as I said in the intro, two partners, they want to reconcile, they want to get back together, but both of them are scared to get rejected. And nothing happens. And at some stage, eventually, they walk away or one will wake up and it's too late because the other one moved on. So the point is to really assess this, assess how they react, assess how they communicate, assess if maybe you have to take the lead. And I'm not against reaching out. I'm not against breaking no contact. No contact is extremely important after a breakup, should you want to reset the dynamic. But also, because for me as a therapist, that's the benefit of no contact is for you to have that space to work on yourself, away from the triggers that you get reaching out to your ex in this on and off dynamic that I described before. Because yes, if he or she's texting you, if you're in touch, that's a sign that they're interested. But that prevents you from healing and moving forward in the sense of developing this secure attachment style that I described. So sometimes 1 month of no contact is enough, but it's important to create that space. Now, if you have no news, if you've been in no contact for a few weeks, few months, and you have the gut feel that they're interested, you hear from your friends that they're still interested, but they're scared, well, take the lead. The worst case scenario is that you were wrong in knowing that they were interested. But at the end of the day, the outcome would be to gain a bit of clarity. Because if you're watching this video, you're not sure. And the hardest thing that could happen in how we process information for our brain is uncertainty. Uncertainty is what will create anxiety. Uncertainty is what keeps you stuck. So yes, it's scary. You could argue, yes, you have to put your ego on the side for a bit. But at the end of the day, what you deserve is clarity. What you deserve is a platform to help you to move forward. Some people call it closure. Maybe you can get it yourself. Maybe you have to push a little bit the process towards your ex to gain that closure. So yes, reach out if you feel the need to reach out. There's no shame in trying. Yes, in an ideal world, you would want them to reach out. Yes, in an ideal world, you would want them to figure everything out the same way you're learning about yourself right now. But that doesn't happen like this, unfortunately. Sometimes you have to bring them on that journey. And sometimes you just realize like you don't want to bring them on that journey. That's fine. The point is to, again, figure out the path that will help you to move forward and gain clarity. If you are confused, if you're not sure, if you want a bit of some facts and data, have a look in the description and take the quiz to know your chances. Give you a score, whether you're going to get back with your ex or not. And let me know in the comment section if you have any questions. I'll see you next time. Take care of yourself. Bye-bye.